My apologies.
I blew right past it. No, it's fine. I blew right through that. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. Public participation on non-agenda items. I'm going to blame it on this new way of doing business. Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak for 3 minutes regarding a non-agenda item?
This is David Tolsis, board attorney. If there's a member of the public that would like to present during public participation, raise your hand or unmute yourself, whatever, announce your name and address for the record.
Juan Compton, 826 South Federal Highway, Lakewood, Florida.
Okay, Juan, go ahead, please. Juan, go ahead. You can speak.
Okay, it wasn't about the minutes. I thought we were speaking about the action items. Is that where we are now? No. I'm sorry.
No, sorry. Let me clarify, because I blew through the public participation on non-agenda items. So this is something that's not currently slated to be discussed, but you wanted to have opportunity to speak on it.
Not a problem. Okay. No, I do want to say something that I think the CRA is making some pretty good moves very quickly and staying on top of quite a lot of projects, some that we are responsible for. And I know that there's 3 in general that we've gotten a lot of help from. And I think that you're going to see a big change on Lake and Lucerne Avenues pretty soon in the next coming year.
Great, thank you for that. Is there any other public that would like to speak on non-agenda item? Seeing none, we'll go back to the consent agenda. Again, we're looking for a motion on the subordination. Thank you. John, is there a second?
John Paxman, yes.
Wait, sorry, who was the motion then?
John Paxman, so moved.
Okay, who's the second?
This is Brent. I'll second pass consent.
Thank you. Thanks, Brent. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, on to the action agenda. We're going to start with the CRA commercial grant, interior improvements and commercial facade grant for 604 Lake Avenue. We've all had an opportunity to look at those. Typically, I'd like to have a motion and then discussion, but if we have, Joan, if you want to do a quick overview, and if we have somebody there that represents this building, maybe we could hear from them for a bit and then take a motion if everybody agrees.
Please.
I like that.
Agreed.
Okay, thanks guys. Okay, Joan? Or is it Chris? I'm sorry,
it's
Chris.
It's gonna be Chris on this one.
Thank you, yep, sorry, Chris.
No problem.
Okay, hi, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, this is Chris DeBrose, Lakewood CRA. This is going to be an application, 2 applications actually, for the interior improvement and commercial facade grant that we received recently for 604 Lake Avenue. Some of you may remember this as CJ's restaurant. Prior to that, it was the Rum Shack, and I think prior to that, it was a place called Rosie's. It's been various restaurants throughout the years. This application here that we received from the new property owner, David Kislin, is for the development of a restaurant and brand called Doc Holliday's Barbecue Sports Bar and Dr. Spirit's Distillery. The property owner who acquired the property about a year ago or 2 years ago has spent the past year clearing out the building, completely gutting it. If you see some of the photos, we'll try to go through the photos here if I can. They're in your packet as well. To totally gut the 7,000 square foot, he's totally gutted the 7,000 square foot building, and with the hopes of attracting this restaurant and vodka distillery. The applicant and actually the business owner, Daniel Deleger, and his architect Juan Cotton are on the line. Basically, they want to build a new restaurant and distillery, creating about 10,000 square feet of new usable space. Our grants would be used for build out, interior and exterior build out of the new restaurant. Primarily for awnings, HVAC, mechanical, doors leading to the exterior seating, and also the distillery. So this is being presented to the board because they are looking for $50,000 in grant funds from the CRA for both the grant programs. However, even though we are recommending the grants to be awarded, there are two conditions. One is that the applicant needs to, within the next 90 days, provide proof that the use is allowed. Currently, it's not allowed in the downtown area, which is basically a distillery. And also, we need to make the exception that we can approve these grants outside of our grant acceptance period. Right now, we don't currently accept grants during the summer. We accept them from generally October, November through June of each year. That's our presentation. I'm going to try to, again, go through these slides. And again, these are in your packet as well. And we have the applicants online to answer any questions.
May I have a questions or two? Are they taking over the spot from the real estate company as well?
No, it's real estate is 602 Lake Avenue next door. So his is 604. So 604, then 602, then 600. The realty company next door, company next door is 602 and 600.
All right. Are they taking over the John Rice Way alleys as part of their application?
That is currently owned by the city. It's a right-of-way owned by the city. I believe they're going to try to add outdoor seating there. Juan, you'd probably be better answering that question, but it's still going to be owned by, that right-of-way is still going to be owned by the city as of right now.
Yeah, the city does own that, and they've expressed a lot of interest in having it as an open fair for the project itself. Again, it would remain under the city's ownership, but with some full use as outdoor space for the bar and for the vodka distillery.
So we probably need to have some sort of condition that this thing is approved by the city for the outdoor use of that space. Do you agree with me, Juan?
Yes, I guess formally that would be a good thing also for the owner, because that way we would have something that would hold them to say, yes, we can use this, and not turn around one day and send 50 policemen on horses to get people out of there. I believe
the CRA stated told us the CRA doesn't have the authority to grant the use. So all they're saying is that they're going to put a condition on the approval.
Thank you.
The city grants the use.
Right, and I think it's a smart thing. The city's been very helpful in getting some of the approvals with zoning and actually making it possible for the distillery to actually exist, because it wasn't an allowed use downtown. So they would be the first craft distillery allowed downtown Lake Worth.
So you have to have a, I guess we call it a change to the plan for the city to have that happen, right?
It was more of an amendment, a zoning type of amendment that they did. And then in terms of plans and everything else, I mean, it would just be regular plans, but I think the zoning amendment was the biggest thing. There also can't be another one downtown because they have a 700 square foot perimeter that another one can't be down there.
All right, that's a new rule, I guess.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm seeing a screen on the thing here that shows a very opened up front aspect of the property onto Lake Avenue. Is this part of what we're trying to approve tonight?
Yes, that is going to be how the corner is going to open up, and the front is supposed to be very open. They're going to have air curtains to the outside, so it would remain open and air conditioned on the inside. What you're trying to do, yes, the development of that building would definitely be altered by basically opening a lot of it and then fixing the insides. Part of it would be more of an industrial, a very pretty industrial type of organization there with the copper, all the different, brewing equipment, things like that, the distilling equipment, and then the rest would be the restaurant.
You know, I get that. I appreciate the industrial aspect of the inside of it. It's just been such a, and I'll say, one of my friends built the building, and it was just a terrible building. And but the proposed front look looks so much better. So I was hoping that was part of it. I just couldn't see all of the stuff. So I hope it's that way.
Yes, it is.
All right.
Mr. Chair.
Hey,
Sorry,
Chris, this is Tom Copeland. Just a quick question.
Yes.
I love these drawings and everything. This looks like a great project. But quick question on the two conditions that you are suggesting for the board. And particularly the second one, the extension of the approval process. Why does that matter, given that the developer has to meet the condition of within 90 days getting the conditional approval granted? Why does that second condition that you're suggesting matter?
Well, they applied for the grants this last month. Again, generally, we don't accept applications at all from any businesses or property owners during this time of the year, not until after the grant period opens. So that's the exception. They are applying now because they need this extra financing, extra public support, public financing, public dollars to help with their private financing. So that was the
okay.
There's an urgency to do it now versus wait till the end of the year.
Right, because the money. I see. Because the money wouldn't come until the improvements are completed anyway. So it's not like the funding is needed. It's the public perception, I suppose, or maybe not so much the public perception, but yeah, okay. There's contingencies, maybe financing contingencies.
Correct. Just fairness to all the other applicants as well. And they wouldn't get paid out till, like you said, the project's complete, which wouldn't be till next year or early 2021 at the latest. Or
I'm curious. Gotcha. I'm curious, just for my other fellow board members, your opinions on making that special exemption, considering that we do have lots of businesses that would like to apply for grants right now, given that we're in the middle of COVID. There's grant money available. We talked at our last meeting about how Commissioner Whitfield had asked, can we quickly get money out the door? I remember the answer kind of being back that it's sort of paperwork is difficult. So I'm curious to know what difference this would make. Like, are we setting an example of? Yeah, Joan.
If I could take the reason that this is on this agenda, I'm going to take full responsibility for it. I was completely excited that this particular use was going to come downtown, and because of this, I think we're having a kind of a resurgence in downtown, which is somewhat amazing during a pandemic. And William and I and the city have been working really hard to get the change in to allow this downtown and to keep things moving on a consistent basis. This is why we brought this to you now, not because we're going to pay anything out earlier. They still have to go through the rigorous process of setting everything up in finance, and they won't get paid out till the next fiscal year. But I thought this project was very important, and that's why it's on this particular agenda.
Okay, I agree. It's important, and I like it, and I'm in favor of it. I guess I'm just bringing up that we would be approving a grant here for this project, but not for other projects or other businesses that could use the grant for the whole COVID thing.
Well, the COVID grant is completely different than the commercial facade grant. So the COVID grants are coming in, if they were to come in, they would come in individually, and then we would have to pay them out within a few weeks. This grant is coming in now. It's already budgeted for next year. Well, if the board approves the budget at this meeting, it will be approved for next year. And it won't be paid out until the next fiscal year. So this won't be paid out until after our next fiscal year starts.
Okay, that makes sense. That's the, I guess that's the distinction I was looking for. Thank you.
No problem.
If I may. You know, when I said I had a client who actually built this building out, I meant that, but I'm like, it's like 3 steps away from them. That client built that building out, and I have no financial client relationship to what's going on. And I think this is a very important piece of the downtown structure, and I would be in favor of this.
Mr.
I hope
Chair,
that-
Yep.
Mark, it's Mark Rickards. A couple quick questions for Juan. Is the use or the text amendment to allow the distillery, is that already in process, or is that being submitted?
Yes, no, that's been done. The first part of it has been passed through, and then there will be another part of it. But yeah, it is now allowed as of was it August 8th.
All right, so you're just waiting for the second reading, and that's why you're asking for 90 days, or that's why we talked
Absolutely.
about 90 days? Okay, all right.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's smart. It might be 60, stuff in the summer gets delayed, all that.
Yep.
Okay. And then can you go back to slide number 5, Chris? This little screening, I don't know if I don't remember that being there. Are you adding that to like hide some HVAC equipment? You know, that little
Yeah,
extra?
no, that is actually part of the building in the corner. The HVAC equipment is much further back. The thing is, it looks more prominent now because the bottom is cut off.
Oh, gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha.
So now you could really see it, right? And a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
of times it's higher than what you do walking in front of it. You know, if you'd have to be across the street to see it.
I just want to echo my other board member sentiments. What you did is some excellent choices in bringing the inside to the street. I think that's part of what our downtown needs, is a sense of, you know, life, not just on the street, but, you know, going into buildings. And I think some of the businesses that have done that, whether it's live music you can hear from the street or plenty of glass that you can see in, have done better. And this building in particular suffered from a lack of identity and other things. But yeah, I'm really impressed with the renderings. And
Thank you.
and I've always wanted to go to vodka distillery. I never have, but I'm very impressed. I really am.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, this is Drew.
Thank
Also
you.
very impressed. I just a curiosity, are they gonna cook the barbecue on site?
Oh, good question.
Are they going to do what? The bar inside? What?
Cook the barbecue on site.
Yes, it would be cooked. Absolutely, absolutely. There were ideas about having a mobile barbecue,
Juan, are you ever gonna let me talk?
but then there was. I probably could let Daniel answer that better. But then there is in the kitchen a barbecue setup with pellet type professional pellet grills, like industrial style ones. And if you're worried about the smell, well, I think one of the things is to try to get people into the savory barbecue place by having it smell like a barbecue place.
No, that sounds great. I
Juan,
just
are you gonna
wanted to
let me
make sure
talk?
we were getting good
Not worried
barbecue.
about pellets.
Right.
That's fantastic. Thanks.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to introduce Daniel DeLeach, who's going to be the owner and manager of Dock Holidays and Dock Spirits. If you want to say a few words, Daniel.
Sure, thank you very much. And listen, we really appreciate the opportunity to come downtown. We really had our choice of a lot of communities. We had a lot of folks trying to woo us to their towns. We looked at places from St. Augustine to Key Largo. We settled on Lake Worth Beach for a variety of reasons, one of which was the local government. Joan and William and everybody has been just fantastic and been very welcoming, and how quickly they moved on getting the LDR adjusted so that we could come downtown. Juan, I came across him through another building in the area, and his work has been phenomenal. And in partnership with David on this particular building, I think we're gonna do something really special. And to answer a couple of quick questions, we are definitely building a pit on site. We are going to be smoke in Texas style. on the barbecue. That's something that you do not see in Florida. In fact, there is no restaurant that I know of in Florida that does it properly. I personally went through Aaron Franklin's masterclass on Texas brisket. So we are going to be doing the barbecue right. We're starting with the distillery. We're going to do it in 2 phases. The distillery is going to be first, with the restaurant following right behind it. That's because of a COVID issue more than anything, really. But we are also using old world copper pot stills, and we're going to be cooking vodka right there in downtown Lake Worth, from locally sourced grain all the way through.
Thank you for that overview. We'll go back to and I also, this is Brendan Lynch. I also think it's a beautiful project from the renderings, and we're excited to have you in Lake Worth Beach, and appreciate you working through everything with us and with the city. I hear a lot of support from my fellow commissioners. I'd look for a motion, please.
This is Drew. I'll move approval of this. You had me at Texas barbecue.
Nice.
I second
Drew,
that.
thank
Drew.
you. Okay, so we have a motion
Paxman.
from Drew and a second from John Paxman. Any further discussion from the board before we go to the public?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is Mark.
Yeah, Mark.
I just want to clarify if we're adding conditions or whether those were just recommendations to the motion.
Thank you, Mark.
David Tulsa's board attorney, I would include as part of the motion the 2 conditions: that within 90 days, the applicant gets formal notice from the city of Lake Worth Beach that the use of distillery is allowed at this location, and provide documentation to the CRA. And then second, that the CRA is making an exception and approving these grants outside of the normal CRA grant acceptance period.
Drew,
Okay.
are you agreeable to amend your motion?
I am. Thank you, David.
John,
I'll
are you
follow.
agreeable to second?
Yeah, I
Okay.
follow that.
Okay, and thank you, Mark, for bringing that up. Any other discussion from the commission? Seeing none, we'll go to the public. And again, I don't know who's on from the public. But if there's anybody, now's the time. Okay. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Congrats.
Looking
Welcome to
forward
Lake
to
Worth
it.
Beach.
Thanks, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you. Chair.
Welcome.
Looking forward to the
Thank you.
brisket.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
We are moving along to the property development for 1715 North Dixie Highway, development team selection. Let's go ahead and get an overview here. Joan?
Sure. The CRA advertised an RFP for the lots on North Dixie Highway next to the mid that we purchased with line of credit funds. The 3 lots were assembled over a 6-month period, and you can see those are all the lots right there. Due to a lack of responses from the original RFP, we re-advertised the request, and then we actually had to extend it because of COVID. But as a result, we received 5 really good proposals. The selection committee met in July, reviewed and ranked all 5. The committee included city and CRA staff, as well as Commissioner Paxman and Suzanne Cabrera from Housing Leadership Council. The top 2 rated proposals are to be considered by the board tonight. The top ranked proposal was from Office America Group, and I believe they are on the line. They received the highest score. Their project, you can see it right there, it's beautiful, contains 121 residential units, some office, about 1,000 square feet of office, and a little over 7,000 square feet of retail. Office America is offering the board the full price of for the property, which is $2.49 million. And just so you know, their total score was 415. Move on to an overview of the next one. The second ranked project was from Altier 305 Linear Group, and it contains, it's called the Flying Handkerchief, contains 69 units and approximately 7,000 square feet of retail. That group is offering $415,000 for the site. Their score was a 393 as compared to 415. I believe actually both development teams have representatives available to answer any questions you have. And of course, Chris, myself, and Commissioner Paxman are here if you have any questions regarding anything that came up at the selection committee hearing.
Joan, thank you for the overview.
Sure.
Let's hear from the representatives in order, and then we can go to. We'll take, actually, sorry, I believe it's very best to hear from one, and then we can ask, the commissioners can ask some questions from that one, and then we'll move on to the second. And we can ask questions as well, and then we can consider a motion. Does that make sense?
I think so. Mr. Chair, one quick question. This is Drew of Joan.
Yep.
I
Yes.
remember, wasn't there something about this property where we had to get a certain return on investment? Am I thinking about this right? It's probably my very first board meeting where we talked about this property and decided not to go with the proposal because there wasn't enough money. I don't know if I'm thinking about this right.
Correct. The first time we advertised for this property, we only received one proposal, and they offered us I believe it was $300,000 for the entire lot, or all the lots, I should say. And so we decided at that time that that wasn't really a substantial enough offer for us, and two, that since we only received one proposal, we thought maybe enough people didn't really know about it, which is why this time we really amped up our advertising, and luckily I think it was successful, and we were able to get 5 really good proposals, like I said earlier.
So we don't have an obligation to receive a certain amount of money on this property. Okay,
No,
thank you.
we're not obligated.
Yeah,
All right,
if I
thank
might,
you.
David Tulsa Board Attorney, your obligation under the statute is to consider whether or not you're going to get fair value, and there are many factors that go into that. As
Sure.
part of your discussion.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Chair, I'm done. Thanks.
Thank
At
you.
this time, I think we'd like to listen to hear from Office America.
Please.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, my name is Ricardo Hernandez. I
Hi,
represent.
Ricardo. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want to let you know that we're going to allow for up to 10 minutes. I just want to let you know in advance. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I represent Office America Group. We are a group of companies. We have, all the participants in the conference right now. We have Martin Architects. They are based in Philadelphia, but they have an office in Palm Beach. Dominic is online with Annabella as well. We have also a general contractor called G&G. They have an office in Miami and in Orlando. They are, they construct here in Florida, so they have past experience in construction here in Florida. We presented this project containing 121 units. We met with the city one time, and we exchanged emails and telephone calls with them in order to get the highest density we could in the property. And I'm going to allow Dominic, which is the architect, to explain a little bit the project.
Excuse me, whoever, if you're not talking, can you make sure you're muted, because we are getting a little feedback. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm Dominic Ranieri, the designing architect and principal of the Martin Architectural Group here in South Florida. As Ricardo said, we do quite a bit of multifamily mixed-use projects up and down the East Coast of the United States, and we've been in South Florida for 39 years now. Company's 50 years old, so this project was obviously very challenging. We wanted to do something special with this particular site, and so we created a public park as a public amenity. for festivals and other events to happen there, and mostly to try to have events that could draw people to the retail, so that we'd have a more engaging retail presence on the street level. There are the two wing buildings that you see in this rendering exposed are 3 stories. They have various types of units in it, with the ground floor being retail facing out towards Dixie, and then retail facing the street, and then some offices on this side, on the side streets. The upper floors are studio apartments and apartments. Then the large building in the back is a podium building sitting on top of 2 levels of parking, with the balance of the apartments there. That's a good view of it. Yep. Balance of the apartments there, market rate, and basically, I think we're trying to hit all of the units could potentially fit into affordable housing for meeting the program requirements for affordable housing. In this view, you can see quite clearly the beautiful park, the open green space, that wide kind of arching elliptical promenade design. The park was designed by Andres Montero, who's also on the line. But all of that's wide enough so we could do tents and have art kind of festivals or other kinds of public events. There's a couple other tot lots and play areas as well, so there's amenities to the residents that live there. But the objective was to create this kind of engaging little pocket park that energized our street level and gained us some more retail facade by basically wrapping it around the park. The style is kind of eclectic in terms of Art Deco and maybe a little Beaux-Arts, which is a prevalent type of architectural vernacular for South Florida, Miami. You see a lot of it. So we wanted to evoke some of that. You see some of that there in West Palm Beach as well. So, and especially in Lake Worth, the historic sections of Lake Worth. So we wanted to kind of evoke that Florida vernacular and make this a fun and playful kind of place that hopefully will lease up fast and be very successful for everybody involved. That was my 5-minute presentation. Andreas, if you have something to add about the park, would be a good opportunity there.
May I speak?
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, please.
This is John Paxman. This is my number one. I was on the selection choice for the this project, and this is my number one choice. And I thought the interior courtyard area was one of the best things that was happening on this project, along with the densities that we were looking for in this section. I thought that if you look at the south side, that the part of the garage that comes out over there was a weakness, not a terrible weakness, but a weakness because we're in a brand new structure over there to the south side of that. And I also thought that it's getting built up against a multifamily residential project that's in transition, that's going to be changed probably eventually. But it was still my number one choice of this project. And I think it was taking what we asked for from the developer. They took 100% of that and did what they wanted them to do. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Anyone else have any comments or questions?
Yeah, Brendan, this is Brent Whitfield. Can I have a comment here, a question? So if I recall in the package, there was a workforce housing request to the county. Could you elaborate on that and what that might mean as far as conditions of approval, or what that might mean to us? I mean, first I should say I really like it. I agree with John completely. I love how it maximizes development potential, and I love the green space in the middle. But I just had some questions, and one of those is with respect to the workforce housing request to the county.
Yes, well, we are talking with the county about workforce housing. They have a program called Workforce Housing Exchange Program. The program is basically looking at finding a developer, a big developer, which is doing, you know, like Lennar pulled Homes or other developer in Palm Beach County, and they don't want to do the workforce housing in their development. So the program allows them to transfer that money to another developer, to transfer 80% of the money that they have to put, so they save 20% of that money, and the county allowed to put that money in another development who wants to build workforce housing. We are right now, we talked to the county, we submitted the information with them. However, in order to be formalized, we need to have control of the property, so we need to sign a purchase and sale agreement in order to have a formal document from the county in order for us to go to the developers to get the money. I'm preliminary talking to 2 developers about if they have availability of the money right now. I'm in the middle of conversations right now. I don't have anything concrete right now, but I'm gonna keep doing my conversations aside of the formal document that we need from the county in order to be ready when we get that document in order to go to for the money. So we are working on that. We don't have anything yet concrete, but we are going to try to put some workforce housing here in this project. Yes.
And just to clarify too, that question was asked in our other presentation too. And just to be clear, Ricardo, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not a requirement that Ricardo needs to do the project. It's just, it's there, and it's smart to try to go utilize that benefit if it's available.
Yep.
That was my follow-up question. Thank you, Dominic. I appreciate that.
I knew it was coming.
Yeah, the other comment I have, and again, I really like the maximizing the development, and I am fully in favor of this height. I think does this height match what's at the mid? I'm not sure if it does or not. Maybe somebody can answer that. But one of the concerns I have is I know just up the street in West Palm Beach, they had something that was a little taller than the neighbors liked, and all of a sudden the neighborhood revolted and pushed back. And so I don't know, I just kind of wanted to make a comment. Hopefully we're able to do something on the west edge that is accommodating or something. I don't want to lose any development, but I just want to put a note here that hopefully we do something with outreach or community involvement that allows us to not get a backlash, a political backlash from residents that don't like the height of the western edge in comparison with the single story residential that's on the western boundary.
We hope so as well. I think from what I can see in the Google Earth, most of the property on our block to the west is, there's, I think there was some storage there or some sort of a maintenance facility of some sort, and then some other buildings that may or may not probably be there in the long term from the standpoint of Lake Worth's existence. And then with the bigger building to the south of us, I think you're already kind of establishing a new scale along Dixie that I agree with you. You're gonna have some pushback. You always do. We'll be there to try to explain it and help soften that impact as best as possible.
Yeah, and I guess note to Joan, I support if there's anything CRA can do to try to explain to anyone who does push back how valuable this is, as a multiplier effect of what's happening to the mid and just the corridor in general. So those are my 2 comments.
Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Brent. Yep, Mark.
Mark Rickards. Wanted to say a couple things, and I'll echo one of your points, Brent. The first, I am so glad that we put this back out to RFP, and the solid responses we got, and waiting long enough for the mid to break ground, I think helped, but also waiting long enough for just people to get the vision of what this midpoint between Lake Avenue and the north edge of Lake Worth can sort of be in terms of Renaissance. I'm just super jazzed about that. Two quick questions to the developer and maybe to Joan. One, I see that, well, three. First, I love these corner windows, and you see them in Lake Worth, and it's kind of, I know it's Art Deco, but not quite Art Deco, and I can tell you've sort of taken the flavor in of Lake Worth with some of this, these design considerations, so thank you for that. Hard to fit all this on the site and be conscious of design, so nice work. In terms of, and it was touched on earlier, so you are pretty much maxing out the site. What happens if you have either neighborhood concerns or get beaten up a little bit at city commission? Like we're not the site plan approval body, that's separate. So we can love the project, but things can happen. What happens if your unit count goes from like 121 down to 110 or 100 or 115? Like this offering to the CRA of 2.49 million, does that scale, or do you need to come back to us if things happen to your development envelope?
Yes, the 2.49 was based on 121 units. The maximum number of units that we can build over here is 126. So we are 5 units shy of the maximum. So 121 is the number that we put because, you know, the parking lot and everything else.
Hard to park it, yeah.
Yeah, but if we are cut, let's say 50%, we need to renegotiate the price because the project is no longer going to be feasible with that number for the land.
Okay, I want to make that point. And to the point that was made previously, yeah, if there's things the CRA can do to help in terms of talking to the neighborhood or reaching out, please let us know. Last question was really about the structured parking. So does the garage entrance from both, or enter from one point or from both sides of the block? I couldn't really tell that from the.
If you can jump back to the floor site plan, it enters from both the north and the south. You see the number 22, so that actually acts like a through lane. You can drive right through the building. Okay. Well, we may have security on it, but there's a ability to drive straight through.
Okay, I respect your scoring, John. I'm glad you were on the committee, but that's it for me for questions. Nice project.
Thank you.
Yeah, Rickards knows what he's doing.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll speak. I think it's a. Oh, sorry, Tom.
I didn't realize. Sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute. I launched into my whole thing here on mute. A Zoom faux pas. Sorry about that. I just have one question. I mean, the project looks great. I love the drawings. And thanks to my fellow commissioners for asking good questions there, because some of those were informative for me as well. But I have a question just looking through. And I'm going to kind of pose this, if I can, first to the selection committee, anybody on the selection committee that'd be interested in lending your thoughts. And then also give a chance to the applicants to answer too, if you'd like to. I was looking at the group's current projects, and I see that 3 out of the 4 projects are still awaiting site plans. So to me, it looks like you haven't broken ground yet. My question is just, how much weight did the selection committee you guys put on that? So past performance, and then also just give a chance to the applicant for you guys to maybe make a comment about that as well. I'm curious to what your thoughts are on that. Has past performance been a concern? Maybe Joan's thoughts or John's thoughts.
Yeah, Paxton, right here, right now. We had some of the applicants that were involved in this whole thing that had not a lot of approvals, that had some really interesting things to do. And we just couldn't approve them because they did not have any kind of approval. And the ones we did, I thought we had some good stuff going on with them. and especially I thought the one, number one, which is the one you're seeing tonight, right now, I thought they were doing a great job. And that's what I thought.
To
Thanks.
extend the
Thanks,
talk
Sean.
to our team, we as a group, the professionals, the designers, we work on multiple projects. We've done many projects. A couple of them are under construction, some are in the planning process. As the development group, we've been involved and are involved in multiple projects with this developer, and obviously they've done successful projects. So as a team, we all understand how to do a collaborative design build project. We've done them. Some of us have done them together. This would be one that we'll do together as a partnership with the developer. But we have other projects that we're going after with Ricardo and his partners, and they're terrific. So we're very confident we can perform.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah. I just, this is a big project, so we want to see it all the way through. And it just looked like there was a couple of projects happening as well. So financing at any time in the short or long term, is that of any sort of concern or consideration? Has it been? Was there anything that we should look out for as far as that goes?
No, not really. There is plenty of financing right now. Of course, everything right now due to this pandemic is slow, but I think next year, this is a project that is going to break ground hopefully next year, and financing, we're going to start looking for financing, at the beginning of next year. So things are going to be more normal. But I have talked to lenders, and they are ready. They have the money. They are ready to, to lend money. So I don't see any concern about financing over here.
Okay. And are there financing considerations, Joan, that are built into financing milestones as with all projects? I understand that what's on the table tonight is just the approval and choosing of a project, but as time goes on, that's all built in as well, that milestones are hit.
Yeah, that'll be built into the purchase and sale and the concurrent development agreement that we will do with Office America Group.
It's great. Okay. Well, thank you guys for the response. It looks great. And I also would just say that I'm also pleased to see coming to the table with the full acquisition cost to reimburse the CRA. We appreciate the commitment to that. Well, I appreciate the commitment to that. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Seeing none, I just wanted to echo a lot of the positive comments. I think it's a very great, very nice looking project, and fits in well with that particular area of Lake Worth. I want to thank you for your interest in Lake Worth and let you know that the CRA is glad to be working with you. We'll now hear from the second project. Joan?
I believe Diego's on the line. Are you going to speak?
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I'm Diego. I'm a partner at Linear Group. Just to give you guys a little bit of background on us, we are a construction design and development firm based out of Miami, Florida. We have a team of about 15 people. We have currently development or redevelopment projects in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and West Palm. In Miami, our project that we're currently working on, we're also doing a partnership with the CRA, so I think it's a very relevant project. It's 224 multifamily units. We received unanimous approval from the city of Miami for the development, and we're one of the very few projects to be getting off the ground in the next few months in the middle of a pandemic. It's a $65 million project. We also have another project in Fort Lauderdale that's a redevelopment project of existing retail and office. So we have a strong background working with local tenants and curating spaces for the local community. We also have another project in West Palm that we're currently working on. So I think we've been both to the north and to the south of where you guys are. And we're very excited to look at this project in Lake Worth because we see the movement coming in from both directions to where you guys are. So in terms of the scope of this project, I think it's very much within our wheelhouse, and we're very comfortable with this type of project. I'll let Lester, the architect from Atelier, speak a little bit more about the vision of the project, but a few things that I wanted to highlight from more of a business plan perspective. We are looking to develop this and own it for the long term. We underwrite that all our projects need to make sense if we were to sell them in 5 years, but we're looking to own this for the long term. Most importantly, everything that we're doing is 100% as of right. So that means all of the parking, the density, the intensity is 100% as of right, which means a very fast process through the entitlement, a process that we're very competent at navigating, but also I think we try to make it easy for you guys and for us to make something out of the current lot in as little time as possible. So we're looking to break ground in next year, and we don't envision any delays with that. We looked at a project that also fits in with the context of the surrounding area. So you guys talked about the project from affiliated development, the mid to the south. I think in terms of fitting in with the surrounding or project, and not only looks to capture a lot of the arts identity that Lake Worth has, but also we think there would be no opposition from the neighborhood. Number one, because it's 100% as of right. And number two, because it also fits in with the local neighborhood. In terms of the project itself, it's 69 units. It's a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom units, plus about 7,000 square feet of retail. The retail or thought is would be leased out to local tenants, whether it's a coffee shop or a restaurant or a bar, thereby fostering jobs in the community. And the units or thought is that those would be market rate, just from where the area currently is. Originally, those would probably be a little bit more of workforce-oriented rents, but as we continue to see growth in the area, which we're very comfortable, we will continue to see, I think the rents on those will continue to increase and they'll become more market-oriented units. I think Lester, actually before Lester speaks a little bit about the vision, the architectural vision of the project, George, do you have anything to add?
We were being very conservative with the design as far as making sure that it is financially viable to build what we can on this site. That's pretty much what I'd like to add.
To George's, sorry, go ahead, George.
Yeah, just saying that we wanted to make sure that the rents would be able to support the design, that we didn't do a construction that wasn't, at some point when we start talking to lenders, that we wouldn't run into any issues that might then lead us to, not being able to fulfill our agreement with the CRA.
Yeah, to George's point, I think we tried to be very conservative in how we underwrote this project, and our thought was that we are open to a collaborative approach, and I think there are certain changes we could make to the project in order to increase some of the terms on our offer. But the last thing we wanted to do was put something in front of you guys that's higher than what we realistically think we can get done and then have to backtrack from that. So we'd rather work our way up rather than our way down. And I think, having a construction team in-house and having design team in-house and also working with Lester, who's been the sort of the vision behind the project, I think we're very comfortable in our ability to execute this, and we're very comfortable with the growth the area is having and the long-term vision of the project. And we'd love to work on this with you guys. Lester, do you want to talk a little bit about from an architectural perspective, your vision?
I would only like to add to these comments that the way we vision this site is as a transition between the urban core and the suburban area in a way that we are not too aggressive on the single family properties that are on the west. We are compatibly sized with the property that is just being completed right now on the south. And it's feasible in terms of development by providing surface parking, the balance of extension of public space comes from the corner in an area that is, in general, is low density in order to activate the retail space that we have at the ground level that I think could attract not only the residents, the residents from the development of the south, our own project, and also the single family. But we are keeping it pretty much as a transition rather than as a focal point of a new urban core. That has been pretty much our intention, and also keeping in mind we have kept in mind as well the cultural identity of the site. There is a lot of artwork that we could see in Lake Worth. There is a lot of taste for artwork and practice. So we see as a potential tenants, people that are related to art, and we are trying to contribute to the cultural identity of Lake Worth in that way.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Go ahead and open it up to the board for questions and comments, please. Who wants to go first? Hello?
I don't mind going first. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Mark.
No, I think
ahead,
Drew
Mark.
or Brent.
No, go ahead, Mark. Go ahead, Mark.
Couple things. One, I want to see townhouses in Lake Worth that look like this. I like the 3-story design and the funky aspect with the triangular. You guys made a strong attempt at, and successful attempt at breaking up the facade and showing us a project that Lake Worth hasn't seen before, but I think it would fit. So I think really nice work. I understand your approach on the conservative side. As soon as you decided to do surface parking, there's no way you're maxing out the density. I mean, you just can't do it. And that's a land development code issue in Lake Worth. Like, we say we have density, but we can't, if you can't park it, you can't get there, right? So I understand how you ended up here, and I think the project looks very, very good. I don't know, can we go, Chris or Emily, do we have the site plan slide that we could put up? I just wanted to ask 2 quick questions. Yeah. So when you look at this, and I saw some of the selection committee comments, I think William Waters said a lot of hardscape. I agree, but you can't get around that if you don't do structured parking. So I think this site plan does a great job too of showing the kind of very creative green spaces that you put in place that we haven't seen in Lake Worth, and I think would fit really well. And I really like some of the things you did. But can you explain I'm sure you had an internal discussion about whether you go structured parking or not. Can you help us understand why you went surface parking? That's really my #1 question.
Sure. The main reason is just a function of economics, and unfortunately the rents that we've seen in the area are not quite there to support structured parking in this location. And
Okay.
that's most of our projects do have structured parking, and it does increase very substantially the cost of construction. And as much as we would have liked to have a structured parking and maximize the FAR, it's just not something that we saw feasible or financeable at this stage. I think it'll get there, but we just didn't feel comfortable putting that forward. So that's really the main reason.
All right, understood. I think that's my main question. So I'll go back to the chair.
Thank you. Who was who was also commenting from the board?
Yeah, it was Brent, and I had a very similar question. I think I just, first of all, wanted to kind of, in line with what Mark said, I really like it. To me, it's a terrific perspective and the way it's laid out, and I think it's very well done. It just seems like, to me, one of the biggest differences between the two presentations we've seen is the assumptions they made at the starting point. And so my question, similar to what Mark was asking, was what the reasoning was for going in a more conservative direction. And I guess, Diego, maybe you say that your thought was you could start at I guess, a lower point and scale up. So if we were to try to move forward with this, but we wanted to see it have a higher density, from the sound of things, there's not much more scaling up you could do without something about the economics changing for the rent structure, or
well,
what would that look like?
Sure. I think there's really 2 points. There's trying to meet the parking requirement, which we think is excessively conservative, and also trying to make the project fit in with with what we think is feasible to develop from a construction cost perspective. So in trying to meet the parking requirement, like I said, we wanted to be sure we were 100% as of right. If we could reduce the parking requirement to something closer to 1.5 units, 1.5 spots per unit, which we think is still a very conservative ratio to have for an area like this, where you're still relying on cars primarily, but you're close to several major urban points. So we feel very comfortable substantially decreasing the parking ratio. If we could decrease the parking ratio, that would allow us to increase the density. It would allow us to build a little bit more, a few more units. And if we build more units, we can also increase the economics in terms of what we're offering to the city. The other point that we would love to explore with you guys, and something that we've explored with other CRAs, is some sort of tax rebate for the incremental property taxes that are generated. If an agreement along those lines would be something that you guys are open to discussing, that would entirely change the economics of the project as well, and it would substantially be able to increase the price that we're able to offer for the land. But what we wanted to put in front of you guys was something that we knew it would be approved by the city, because it's 100% as of right. And the most stringent part of being 100% as of right is meeting the parking requirement, with the limitation that the way we see it in terms of the rents in the neighborhood, you do not have sufficient, the rents are not sufficiently high to really support structured parking. And just to give you an idea of the rent that we're assuming for the project, we are just under $1,500 for the 2 bedrooms and under $1,200 for the 1 bedroom, which we think is really where the market is at currently.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's good insight.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Yeah, Chairman, this is Drew. This is really, I don't have a question for flying handkerchiefs, so I can, if it's for the general discussion, I can wait.
Okay, so yours is general discussion about
the 2 projects that go forward. So
okay, so let's see if there's any other questions. Then we'll move. Then we're going to take a motion. Then we're going to take discussion. Is there any other questions or comments for the flying handkerchief project?
I would like to add something in terms of what you discussed about the potential parking reduction that will lead to an expansion of the rentable area of the project. We were open to discuss with the city how to best fit their urban demands in terms of if they increase the frontage towards the west to make a more continuous transition between urban and suburban experience, or we can also increase one level that which may hurt much either the skyline of this street in relation to the property next door. That is only that is historic, but it's not really a huge bump in terms of thinking about the idea of adding construction area and density.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board? If not, we'll take a motion and we'll have some discussion about that motion. Is anyone ready to make a motion?
Brendan, real quick, can I ask Commissioner Paxman? Usually these selection committees, I thought they came forward with one recommendation. It seems like the decision was to move forward with two to present. Is that different in any specific reason? What was the thought line there?
John, are you on?
I don't see him.
Oh, we might have lost John.
I mean, there's no, if I could, David Tulsa's board attorney, there's no legal requirement that they come forward with a specific recommendation. They ranked the firms and then decided to bring forward the top two.
Okay. I was wondering if there was maybe Chris knows. Chris was on the committee too, right?
Commissioner Whitfield, there was really no specific reason why we brought the two forward. It's just they were both two really very different projects. And we just wanted to give the board a little bit of decision since we had 5 really good projects. And we also wanted you kind of to see the quality that that we were able to attract with this particular RFP. So that's the only reason.
Well, I appreciate your trust. I'm surprised you want us to make any decisions, but thank you.
But, and Mr. Chair, that was kind of, this is Drew, that was kind of my question. And so Joe, maybe you can help me. As I'm thinking about these two projects, it's kind of a, am I right in thinking that it's a risk reward kind of thinking process, whereas one maybe trying to achieve more, needing more approvals, more units, more things to be done. They're giving us more money for the project. But maybe there's a higher risk of success versus the other one that was a little more conservative in what they thought they could do with the property.
Absolutely. I think you hit it right on the head. I think with the Office America project, although it was ranked the highest and it was my #1 choice, and I believe it was Commissioner Paxman's #1 choice as well, I think faces a little bit more hurdles, especially because of its location. There is somewhat of a neighborhood there, although the railroad tracks and of course Dixie Highway are kind of on both sides. So having 5 stories there is going to be a little tricky. I don't think the process itself is going to be really that hard. I think we'll kind of move pretty fast through with the planned unit development, with the sustainable bonuses and things like that. But it will take longer, certainly. It's just really, we're kind of, these are kind of baby steps and we're growing up. And I think that, just personally, the Office America group, next to the mid is kind of the next step up. And we just wanted to make sure that, the board was ready to take that step, or if they wanted to be a little bit more conservative and go with something that, probably have less hurdles to go through, especially with financing.
Right. Then the other question I had was, so sorry for not knowing this, but so there's there's the 2.49 versus the close to 500,000. And when does that show up and how does that get accounted for? And does that just go back into a future year's budget, or what's the opportunities for those types of payments and us reinvesting?
Actually, it's completely up to the board. We can either pay down our debt, or we can use some of it to pay down our debt and use another for maybe an incentive for a different project, or put it back in the budget for savings. When the time comes, we'll have that discussion. Okay, and knowing that the timeline of the 2 projects, when would those decisions need to be made? When does the money show up, I guess? It wouldn't show up until, well, we would have deposits that would be made along the way, but it wouldn't show up until closing, I believe, although we haven't done the agreements yet.
David. Yeah, if I could, yeah, as we typically would, the sale would probably be conditioned on the site plan approval and expiration of all appeals. And once they got that, then whichever company you decide to award it to, we would then sell the property. That would close on the sale at that time. And we would have certain clawback provisions that we have in most of our agreements in the event the development doesn't get complete.
Okay, thank you.
I don't mean to speak out of turn, but this is Dominic, the architect with Office America Group. But I'm not sure if it's clear that we had presented last year a project of similar scale and magnitude, and we're told that the city wouldn't accept it. We needed to go to a higher density. So we actually have a very similar project with the lower density in our original presentation from last year. Just to let you know that our team is, and Ricardo can jump in, has actually analyzed both scenarios.
Dominic, I need to ask at this point, we're gonna just have board discussion. I appreciate your willingness to address that, but we have to keep the meeting going so we have other things we need to be on. Is anyone from the board available or ready to make a motion?
This is Brent. I'll move that we give Joan and David the authority to move forward with the highest scoring proposal from Office America, and they can start working through the agreement.
I'll second that. This is Mark Rickards.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that motion?
I had just this is Tom. I just had a point of clarification. Were we not at the stage where we're making a motion just to discuss the two options, or have we moved past that? It sounds like that motion that was just made and accepted, it sounds like we've moved past that. Now we're moving to decision making.
That is correct.
Well, right.
As far you can, you know, that's the, you can discuss the motion if you like.
I was actually kind of biding my time to wait for what I thought was going to be a discussion about both projects, like generally. I thought we had not done that yet, but maybe I missed that.
If you want, you can try to talk me out of my motion if that's the way.
Should I yell at you? Should I yell at you and pound my fist on the table?
No, but I mean, after we have the motion in the second, we can have a discussion, and if we need to amend the motion or, you know, withdraw, whatever, I think there's still room for you to present questions and stuff.
Yeah. I just kind of wanted to share. I just kind of wanted to have a discussion with all of us about kind of just our options on the table. So I don't. David, stop me if I'm doing this wrong, but do we need to accept that? Do we need to accept that motion that was made that's on the table now in order to have that discussion?
Tom, the idea is we heard from everybody, we asked both questions, and now the idea is to that we have a motion and we can have on to move that one project, but you could certainly, and right now is the time where you could certainly bring up anything on either project. You know, for
oh, I understand. Just because it's on the table doesn't, okay, just because the motion is on the table. Okay, I understand.
That's right.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, well, I mean, I just, man, I don't know if anybody else can echo this, but I am stuck between these two. I see both. I see value in both. I think it was, I'm sorry, I think it was my fellow Commissioner Drew. That was it. Drew made the point where, you know, he talked about, you know, the risk analysis. And I'm just really stuck. I mean, I heard some representatives from the Flying Handkerchief Project talk about how the economics could change if, you know, and see some density built up, if some other things could be talked about, like TIF reimbursements. I guess I'm just wondering, and I hear from, you know, the other commissioners, I'm with you guys about wanting to see the density increase here. And so I guess I'm just wondering, you know, taking a temperature of the room, I mean, is there any other options that we have right now besides just choosing one of these two? Like, could we get into some negotiations about building that density up? And I guess I'm just looking for some sort of help here.
Mr. Chair, can I answer that? You're really only allowed to look at this point, you know, what has been put in front of you. This is kind of one of the reasons that we don't usually come forward with two recommendations. I'm not doing that again. And it's because there's kind of some back and forth, and it tends to turn into, well, if he can do that, then I can do this. And you have to look at the proposals exactly as they are today. And I just
Yeah.
wanted to remind the board that there was a top-ranked firm that was chosen. So if you need, any kind of guidance, I would go with the top-ranked firm. But obviously, it's completely up to you.
Yeah, if I could, the proposals were made. We cannot allow either company to change those proposals once they've been submitted. So you have to decide based upon the information that's been presented, based upon the recommendations of the evaluation committee, and based upon your discussions, what you feel is in the best interest of the CRA.
Yeah,
You can certainly ask questions and get clarification, but there really can't be a lot of change in the project.
Sure. No, I appreciate you guys clarifying that. Thank you. And answering my novice questions. I guess I just wanted to share that it's just they both just seem like great projects. They both seem worthy, so it's just kind of a tough decision.
Tom, can make a comment on your concern. I remember the presentation from this group earlier, and I really liked their original plan but we just didn't have very many submittals. It wasn't as competitive, and it wasn't really as aggressive as our vision for the corridor. And so I appreciate that they've come back with this more aggressive approach. I think that's why I made the motion in favor of Office America, because I want to see kind of a go big or go home approach if we can. And if we have to scale back, I trust that Joan and David can help us work through that. Having William Waters on the selection committee that also ranked this group very high is reassuring, because he's part of city staff that's going to be shepherding the project. So I'm hopeful, and I like that we're trying to go big. But I agree with you. I think both submittals are good, and the philosophy is what separates them. But I that's why I made the motion I did. So.
Yeah, I have to. I can end my comments just with this. I mean, I agree with the go big or go home philosophy, especially for this corridor. I understand what we're trying to do here on Dixie, and I would just say, for the second Lanier group, if I'm saying that right, coming back twice, I really appreciate that you guys are continuing to be interested in the city, and yeah, they're just two great projects, and I love the design of both. But I'm in agreement about we do need to do something really bold here on this corridor. So I guess I'll just stop droning on. I really appreciate both proposals. Thank you both for coming in, and I'll end my comments with that.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there anyone else that would like to speak before we call the question?
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. This is Drew.
Yep.
I hope it's successful. I really like it. I want it to be successful. I do not want to have a future board meeting where we're scaling back by any kind of significant amount, because we have found ourselves in that position before. And we have this opportunity now. So just kind of a statement to the group, let's make this work. Let's not look for opportunities to come back to the board and scale this back. I don't want to be in that position. So, but I really like the proposal, and I'm willing to vote for it. Thank you.
Hear, hear.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, can you do a roll call vote on this item, please?
Yes.
I would just make that suggestion.
And I'm sorry, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you. Yes, Mark.
I don't remember if we went out to the public on this one for public comment.
Man, I'm glad you're on tonight, Mark.
Well, my apologies.
I'm calling Mark Tulsis.
Thank you, Mark. Is there any comments from the public on this particular item? Seeing none, let's take the vote. Emily, would you please call roll?
Mr. Tom Copeland,
Aye.
Leah Furch,
Aye.
John Paxman, Drew Bartlett,
Aye.
Mark Rickards,
Aye.
Brent Whitfield,
Aye.
Brendan Lynch.
Aye. Thanks, Em.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody
Thank
for
you to the
your,
responders.
really want to say thank you for the time. It really is appreciated. You know, unfortunately in these things, there's always going to be one selected. We encourage you to look at other opportunities in our city, and we would love to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move on to,
Thank you.
sorry for the dog in the background. Let's move on to the Gulfstream Project.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sure I don't need to tell any of you too much about the Gulfstream or the hotel, but just for anybody else, it's located at 1 Lake Avenue, and it has sat idle for approximately 13 years. There have been several buyers, and there have been a number of plans that have gone on for the hotel over the years, but I'm glad to say up until now, there's really nothing as bold and as exciting as what will be presented to the board tonight. Currently, the building has 106 very small rooms, and at one time it included a pool and a restaurant. The new proposal encompasses not only 1 Lake Avenue, but also the 6 sites to the west on South Lakeside Drive. At this time, I'm not going to get too much into the actual funding commitment, but I'd like Mr. Gill, who is the COO and the president of Restoration St. Louis, to give us an overview, and hopefully we're either going to be able to share screens or we'll show some of the renderings that we have here at the CRA. Mr. Gill, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Great. Oh, in person.
So Restoration St. Louis is obviously based in St. Louis. We've been in business about 30 years, and our mission is to strengthen and enhance the communities that we operate in by redeveloping neglected neighborhoods. And so we are in several Midwestern cities. Lake Worth would be the first Florida city that we would be coming into. But we have renovated over 400 historic buildings during our career. My wife and I are equal partners. She runs a lot of the design and construction teams. I run the development and the management team. So we manage everything we develop as well. So we would also be the management company that operates the hotel. So we would be there for a long, long time if we get this project done. We've done multiple hotels in the United States as well as in the Caribbean. And this one has been particularly gratifying to put together because very seldom are we asked to come into a community where one project can change the entire trajectory of the entire community. We're actually in the process of placing one in service in Sioux City, Iowa, which is very similar to the Gulfstream in that the entire psyche of the community is tied up in that property. And that property has been vacant for 48 years. So it's coming back to life after 48 years of being abandoned. Can we put the renderings up?
Working on it.
Okay. So the plan is to renovate the historic structure, and it'll be 71. It'll become 71 hotel rooms and suites with a signature restaurant on the first floor. off the lobby. The historic lobby would also be where the front desk remains. So the main entry would still be into the historic building. But the site directly to the west would house 99 additional hotel rooms, full service spa, ballroom, meeting rooms, rooftop, and 42 condos as well. So, of course, every single unit will have a balcony, because why would you build in Florida and not bring the outdoors in? We would also have 200 parking spaces, about 42, I believe, will be available for public parking, so as to alleviate any congestion, on the streets around us, as well as the condos directly to the east of this building, east and south as well. So two different sets of pools, one on the rooftop with a restaurant, and of course a fitness center on the roof as well, and big open deck, almost 30,000 square feet total up there. And then a smaller, more quieter, family-friendly pool down on the second floor, which would, I think it's actually technically the third floor, which would also be connected to the spa, which will be in the new building. Lots of green roofs. The condos that are on the west side, on South Lakeside, would have basically rooftop gardens directly above the roof of the garage, since the garage footprint is actually bigger than the building footprint. All told, it's about 225,000 square feet of new building. I'll just dive right into questions. I think it'll just be easier to do it that way.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Who would like to, who from the board would like to start off? Anyone? Okay, I'll start off and then we'll go to the rest of the board. I am extremely excited to see this project come to fruition. When I moved to Lake Worth, the hotel was operational, and I have a lot of good memories going there and for dinner and other functions. I want to thank you for your interest in Lake Worth Beach. Do you have you aligned with a partner for the restaurant, or is that something that you would operate as well?
Well, we operate the restaurants ourselves. So we have currently we operate over 10 restaurants.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. As far as the hotel, I've been in the building many times, and one of the things that you have with the older hotels is the rooms are very small. How do you plan on addressing, or do you have the type of people that would stay at the hotel? They're familiar with historic properties and they don't mind a more traditional sized hotel room versus what's online these days?
So both my wife and I sit on the advisory board of Autograph Collection, which is a Marriott soft brand. The average room size to be an Autograph Collection is almost 450 square feet. This will not be an Autograph Collection, however. This will actually be a Tribute Portfolio hotel. So it'll be another soft brand by Marriott, or a Curio by Hilton, but probably it's going to end up with a Marriott flag. That's the reason we're going from 106 rooms down to 71 rooms in the historic building. The average room size is about 425 square feet. The smallest room, I believe, is 360 square feet, whereas currently the average room size is actually about, I want to say just under 300 square feet. So the rooms are going to be substantially bigger than they are now. The rooms in the new building are going to average almost 500 square feet. So the rooms are substantially bigger than what historically has been in that building.
Okay, and the pool area at the top is, will you have, is there a bar up there as well?
Yes, there is. Actually, that little structure that you see where all the four-top tables are shown to the north of the pool itself.
I see.
That is a bar area that'll have almost shutters that we can close at night when we close the bar. So it's indoor, outdoor, so that people who want to sit outside can sit outside. And then there's a 2,400 square foot indoor dining room for people who'd rather be indoors, whether it's because of rain or heat or whatever.
And those amenities are open to the public, not just the guests.
Correct. The fitness center is for guests and owners only, but the pool area itself is open to the public, yes, and the restaurant.
And the spa.
And the spa, yes.
Okay.
The spa is actually on a lower floor. So the spa is actually directly above the ballroom and connects to the lower pool, which is more of a, quieter pool where if you've just had a massage or whatever, so you can go and swim a few laps or whatever it may be.
Okay, thank you. I'll open it up to others that want to ask questions.
Mr. Chair, this is Brent Whitfield. If I could ask a couple questions.
Absolutely.
First off, I'd like to echo Brendan's comment. I could not be more excited to see this, and I appreciate not only your vision, but the expertise you and your wife, the company are bringing to Lake Worth. This is something I think we really need for this property, which has been complicated for the city to get off the ground with. And on a personal note, the night I proposed to my wife, we ate at the restaurant at the Gulfstream. It closed probably within 6 months of that and never reopened. Thankfully, we're still together. So.
Don't let him eat there.
Not sure what that has to say about it, but I was curious with the aesthetic, and I don't want to get too in the details, but the new expanded property is a more modern look, and then the historic has a more historic. With your experience around the country with these types of things, is there a reason that you didn't want to tie the two together in a visual sense? They almost look like two separate properties.
And that is a requirement of the historic tax credit program that the historic building will be in. The National Park Service that oversees that program really wants you to differentiate between the two. And our challenge here was keeping the new structure subservient to the historic structure. And so far, I mean, the initial feedback we received from the National Park Service is they love what we've done here, which is it makes it look like it's two separate buildings, two separate projects, and the majestic, Gulfstream can stand on its own and not be overshadowed by what is technically, a 3 times bigger structure there.
I appreciate that. I also want to comment, I'm glad to hear the public availability. I know the last time I was at the Gulfstream pool, I think it was one of the July 4th raft races and like an after party or something. People will flock to this public pool space and to your restaurant. I think, everybody who remembers that property as a place we could go really misses it. And so I'm glad to hear there'll be accessibility for folks to be patrons from public.
So the projects we do are really done for the community. Unlike a lot of hotel developers that are developing it for a transient population that's coming from you know, other parts of the country or whatever, business travelers, etc. Our projects tend to be deeply embedded and rooted within the community. And the only way they can be successful is if the community wants to go into them and, you know, and give us their patronage. So we try to develop our projects to fill a need within a community. And we came at this one with exactly the same, you know, thought.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And that's interesting about the historic places and how the design is dictated. Joan, the money that we are putting forward, is that part of our infrastructure grant, or this is there a different pot that we're pulling from in our budget, if I could ask that?
The funds will come from the economic development business attraction line.
Okay.
And it would be, if we want to get into it just a little bit, it would be 700,000 from this year's budget, and that's already budgeted this year. 500 the following year, and then 4 and 2 respectively. In addition to that, we would also be offering, if the board approves, tax increment financing for the part of the hotel that is new, because obviously they're going for historic tax credits and they don't need anything for the historic part of it.
Right.
And we would be offering them that for the remainder of the CRA life, or until 2031.
I saw that. Yeah. Thank you so much. But again, I love this. I'm so excited for something to happen over there. And thank you so much. Those are my comments.
Anyone else? Okay, let's, I think everybody's just excited for the project. Let's take a motion and then we'll go to the public.
I'll make a motion to support the staff recommendation for the incentive program along with the tax increment rebate. Did I say that right? You can leave the "did I say that right" out of the motion.
This is Tom. I'll second that.
And just for the record, the motion will allow for the negotiations of the funding agreement and the development agreement, and they won't be coming back to the board because as part of the request, you're authorizing the chair, vice chair, and or the executive director to approve and execute those agreements.
I support that, but I don't know. I think Joan likes it when she gives us a choice and we discuss our options. So, but I'm in support of our motion.
I always like to put that on the record just so everybody knows.
Yeah. So
You're welcome.
I definitely support David's this definition of the motion that Joan and staff moves forward at this point.
As Tom, I stand by the second.
Okay, thanks guys. Any comments from the public? Okay, all those in favor, please state so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Gill. We look forward to working with you. Welcome to Lake Worth Beach.
Thank you,
so
Mr.
much.
Gill.
Looking forward to it.
It's worthy of a clap.
Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay, let's move on. We are on to the executive director's report. Joan?
Mr. Chair, we still have to do the budget.
Yeah.
Oh, apologies.
Gotta circle back.
I'm struggling tonight. Thank you. So let's move through the budget.
Sure. At the last meeting, which was in July, the board was presented with a draft operating debt service and capital project budget. There were no suggestions for changes at that time, we can certainly make changes today if the board would like to. However, there is a final draft for review in your packet. And if the board does not want to make any changes, then staff requests the board approve the 2021 fiscal budget and approve the associated resolution 21-01.
Can I make a motion to approve the budget as presented by staff?
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that. That's Tom.
Okay, thank you.
I am Brett's backup here. I'm his backup. He can rely on.
Awesome.
I'm his wingman.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor, please state so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we are on to executive director's report. Please, Joan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the line of credit and the refinancing. At our last meeting, I believe it was Commissioner Paxman recommended that we look into it. We did, and it looks like if we did refinance, even with the fees that are associated with it, we would save approximately $70,000 to $75,000. So we're in the process of doing that. It takes PNC probably about a month to get it through their committee, so I'm hoping that we bring it back next month for your approval. You can also see on your screen, just to give you an idea of things that we're doing here. These are the new Gateway Street banners that will be put up as soon as the next fiscal year starts. We also, the city finished the CAFR, I believe it was either a week or 2 weeks ago. So we were finally able to finish our annual report from 2018, 2019. We have just a few of the pages to show you coming up. Sorry, I know I'm going fast.
Joan, while we're waiting, if we can put in our 2 cents about those designs, bottom left. That's all. That was Tom's comment.
Anyway, so there we go. Okay. Anyway, these are done. They're printed already. We'll be probably mailing these to the board unless we plan on seeing each other relatively soon. That's fine now. We were also able to complete a new dining guide and map. We had it ready probably a few months ago, but due to COVID, some of the downtown businesses unfortunately weren't able to stay open. So we called up everybody and made sure, that we had the correct information or put, some of the new businesses coming in there. So this is another feature to our other maps that are for shopping and services and also for murals. So now there's a total of 3 different kinds of maps that you can get depending on what you're looking to do in the downtown. And then last but not least, wanted to show you the latest and the final version of what will be called Village Flats, which is the Norman Weinstein project that's going up on Lake and Lucerne, just west of the Urban Arts Lofts. I think they did a really nice job. We kind of struggled with some colors there for a little while, but these are the finals that are actually being handed into the city this week. Just to remind the board, these are the properties that some of them were NSP, others were bought with line of credit money. But these will span, this particular building that you're looking at right now goes from E Street down to F Street, and then over from Lucerne all the way to Lake. And there's a total of 3 buildings, and the parking is in the center of all 3 buildings. And then there'll also be 2 other developments after this phase is complete that kind of take the buildings down the street, which is rather interesting because right now we actually have another request for proposal out for the properties at the Circle. So it kind of, everything's kind of coming in on both sides, on both Lake and Lucerne in the downtown. So that's really exciting. And last but not least, we did receive 3 good proposals for downtown properties. I think we'll probably go to a selection committee rather soon, and then we'll come to you with 1 recommendation. And hopefully we'll do that. I'm not sure if we'll get it done by September, but definitely by October. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Joan. Are there any questions for Joan on any of those items?
Mr. Chair, Mark Rickards.
Yeah, Mark.
Joan, just a quick question on the banners. Are all 4 designs in play? And
yes.
or okay, so just kind of split up, or they take turns like A, B, C, D, and then starts again? Like, is that
That's
the
the way
idea?
we hope to do it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the second question, I like that you added the Madeline McKendry page on the annual report. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you. If there's no other comments, then we'll move into board member comments. Are there any comments from the board at this time about anything?
Mr. Chair,
Okay,
this
I'll
is
take,
Drew.
yeah, Drew.
I just want to just recognize that we've been really just doing incredible business during this pandemic. That not only are we getting our normal work done and the staff, getting projects and proposals to us and grants to us, but we've also been helping with the pandemic. And it's just remarkable what this little agency does. And it's just a kudos, Joan, to you and your staff for, just persevering and making it all happen to keep us going and keep Lake Worth Beach, on the radar map and with these incredible projects. It's been a fantastic meeting. So thank you.
We appreciate it.
Well said, Drew.
Absolutely. Well said for sure. Okay, we'll take a motion. Oh, sorry, David would like to.
Yeah,
David has to comment, but.
Yeah, I would just like to echo that. I know I've been working really hard with staff, even remotely, and we've been able to get a lot of good work done. And I would just like to let you know that we did just receive the governor's most recent executive order regarding sunshine law waivers and the ability to hold these meetings through the use of communications media technology, and he extended that through the end of September. So as of right now, through the month of September, we can have these meetings. They call them virtual meetings, but I don't really like to use that term because they are actual meetings through the use of communications media technology. So I wish everybody well, stay safe, and good seeing you all. Thank you.
Before we break, Mr. Chair, real quick, this is Tom. Mr. Tolsis, quick question. This is procedural. I just did the statement of financial for 2019 while I have you here. Can I just ask you real fast? I understand that there has to be a second one done right away for 2019, 2020, right? Or is that not due until this time next year?
No, your form is due, I think, by July for the previous year. So your 2019 should be in no later than the end of this month. Otherwise, you start getting a fine. So
yeah,
and then your 2020 financial disclosure form is due after January 1, but before like July of 2021.
Okay, the legislature in their legislature built in the grace period too, so I think we're good there.
Right.
Anyway, thank you. I just wanted to ask you.
If you have any questions, give me a call, and I think we can help you with any filing issues that you have.
Sure. Thank you very much.
I'll take a motion to adjourn, please.
Yes, one thing, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to say thank you to John Paxman for saving us $75,000. And
Yes.
what Chris Pettit ever said about him, it seems like he's very useful. And I did want to also, as Mark said, Joan, it was a really nice gesture to see Madeline in the annual report. I was glad to see that. It was cool. And man, what a brisk bit of business we did in this meeting. We can't even get together in a room, but somehow we saw some of the best development I've seen in my whole time on the board. So kudos to you and staff. And with that, I'm sorry to make it any longer. I'd like to move to adjournment.
I'll second that.
You have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Stay safe and healthy.
All right,
Thank
bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.